Oh,
Hey
I was making
everybody,
sure that they all work.
welcome to the Prep Pastors Podcast. Phil's jacking with me,
What
so
I
I
do.
just hit record. I'm over it. Like he's messing. Every time I try to do a countdown, he'd talk to me. So we're
Yeah,
on. We're on. We're live. Phil, how are you today, brother?
good. Good. I got a camera screaming at me. Oh, it just says no card. Ain't got
No,
no
that's
card.
okay. You got no
Ain't
card.
got no.
I'm
I'm not
recording.
recording.
I'm recording today. So
Nice.
we are not live. Phil, tell us a little bit about what's going on right now.
I'm live. Um, what are we doing? Hey, this is episode 1 of season 2.
Season 2.
That's what's exciting. We are pre-recording like a day or two before this goes live because we have supporters all over the place. We're fixing to have supporters in some new places,
Yes.
and we want to honor these guys by giving them a little early access.
Yes.
So, and the next thing is, in order for this group, this show, and this group of misfits that follow us, in order for those group of misfits to grow in number, we need consistency in at least
Right.
one part of what we do. And
And that's what
so
time it goes.
this, yeah. So this is a minorly pre-recorded. So if you've been following us all the way through, what is it, 70 some episodes that we did in
Yeah,
season
I think
one?
that I think we
Um,
did 70 episodes last year.
yeah. Yeah. So if you watched even half of those, you know that we have a lot going on. This is, believe it or not our full-time job
Definitely not.
for either one of us. And some of our commitments pull us away from being able to consistently be the exact same time, the same place, and the everything. We're just not Batman. Can't do same bat
And
time, same bat
and
place.
if we're being very honest, the majority of the views that watch this show are not during our live broadcast. They're after the live broadcast. So,
They're
um,
me and my various 10 channels setting it to autoplay. No,
hey, you know what? We're getting cool. We're knocking on the door with
no, we're
75 to
getting real
100
deep.
views a week. I'm pretty excited about that. I'm pretty
We
excited about that.
had something like 40 or 50 live views on the last show,
Yes.
which I should not tell you. And then, but we had triple that
Mhm.
minimum after the fact.
No, you shouldn't tell me because I've definitely been advocating. So right now our plan is to do one live broadcast a month.
Yeah.
But the other three will be recorded probably the day of or the day before, so it'll be very fresh intel.
Recent if
And
possible. Yeah.
and then we are talking about maybe adding some 10-minute episodes, like just me or just Phil during the week, coffee with pastor, kind of practical prepping advice, or maybe some breaking news stuff. We could maybe start doing some of that stuff, but no promises there. Right now, the promises are that you're going to get one show every week, and that is the goal. So I don't even know if we know when recording this. I don't even know if we know what day of the week it's going to air because I think we've
It's not
decided that
final.
maybe, yeah, we
Yeah.
might not
So
be doing Fridays, might be doing Saturdays. I don't know. I don't know. So anyway, but we love you and we want to keep the episodes coming. We're not going anywhere. So that's the very unofficial intro. Today we just want you to know that we did not leave you. We took a 2 week break for the season break. And for those of you who don't know, maybe you're new to the show, we usually break for holidays. We don't broadcast during Thanksgiving week. We don't broadcast during Christmas or Easter week, because typically in the world of pastoring, we are very busy during those weeks. Neither of us are
yeah.
in churches right now. So if there's breaking news, you might see some special stuff. Maybe we'll do a Christmas special. I don't know. Anyway, so Phil, how is your week going? What are you seeing? Are there any big well, let's just do the touch base, and then we'll get to
Well, I
headlines
think
in a
we're
second.
both you and I both. I don't know what it looks like for you, but Alaska is in an absolute turmoil with elections. And
Oh,
we've got some really close races. We've got a whole lot of Republicans um, not doing well, and we've got a lot of Democrats that are calling themselves Republicans that are sort of doing well. In the big news, most people have heard of Old Murky. She has been the deciding vote towards the liberals, towards the side of death towards babies. Uh,
multiple
death
times, man.
towards
She has gone
democracy.
full rhino, just
She
absolute
has
garbage.
really joined. Well, she has officially endorsed a Democrat as her co-running mate. So she is co-running with a Democrat right now.
Under the guise of
Can't get more
unity and
obvious.
bringing the country together and
Yeah,
blah blah blah
she's
blah blah.
neutral. She plays both sides. Blah blah blah. She's not faithful to anybody. Well, the only thing
That
she's
doesn't
consistently obeyed has been Nancy Pelosi. So
that's
um,
not encouraging. That doesn't make me
let's
want
get
to
away
vote for
from
that
the
person.
evil uh, San Franciscan Democrats running the country. And I'm not going to say this is our last chance because I don't even know if voting this round is going to make any difference whatsoever.
I don't
I have
know.
no idea. The level of cheating that liberals are now okay with
Yeah,
is
yeah,
just preposterous. It is mind blowing. And some of the conservative Republican side are starting to say, well, if they can do it, we can do it, except they kind of suck at it. So, uh,
yeah. They'll get caught and put to the
yeah,
fire,
yeah,
and where these guys have had the opportunity to learn. I think that the test bed for
mm,
that scenario has been Oregon for the last 24 years of mail-in balloting.
yeah,
I think leftists built their system and proved it works, as far as hijacking things, in Oregon, and then Oregon basically just sold it to the rest of the leftists in the country.
yeah.
So we'll
They
see
don't
what
have a
happens
lot
this
of
time.
tricks. They have the same tricks, and they play
But
them over and over and over.
but you know what I think is so funny is 2 years
Mm,
ago they
hmm.
left with screaming, "Our elections are secure. You can't affect our elections. This is and then last night, Uncle Sniffy basically all but said that MAGA
I'm not going to
Republicans are
concede anywhere.
terrorists and they're going to be illegally hijacking elections. And I'm going, which is it? Which is it? We either have a problem or we don't have a problem. I mean, like, which is it?
Yeah, yeah. So politically, as of the day we're filming this, and as of the day that you're going to see this, elections are not decided. Um, it's really important to vote, um, even if they're cheating, even if we're not going to win, even if we just give up on all those. And I'm not sure that I'm convinced of all those things, other than they're cheating and they're evil. That part is true. There's a lot of cheating, evil politicians. They exist in the world.
Yeah, right and
On,
left.
on all sides. I will say that I received a mailer this week from the Alaska Independence Party, and their major platform this election is to get us into a constitutional convention as a state and to seriously discuss secession from the union. And I am all for that.
Man,
I am
I
100%
was.
behind leave the country, let the lesser 49 keep doing their own stupidity. Let's just lease them land, be in a great partnership with them, but do our own thing. Because I'm
I
sick and tired of being told that we can't develop our resources, we can't catch our fish, we can't pull our oil, we can't sell our hay and our livestock, and that's not our role as a state, is to develop these resources. So they're not letting us do it. I'm sick and tired of 5% of our lands were promised to us as a state, 0% have been given.
yeah.
So the federal government owns the majority of our land, and I'm all for going and taking it back.
Well,
State
I
rights.
will say this. I am not excited about the balkanization of the United States. I think it's coming. I think it's the only way to avoid a civil war. But I will say this.
I'd rather leave than go down there and shoot people.
No, I'm with you. That
I don't
there's
want to
nothing. The big thing is though is for those of you who don't know, like I've been to Alaska, I've been fishing in Alaska. Like it's an awesome thing to do. It's wonderful. I think tourism dollars help their state quite a bit. But here's the story. What most people don't realize is if I go to Alaska and break the law on the fishing grounds, they slap me on the wrist and they're like, "Now, please, Mr. Tourist, don't do that again." And if an Alaskan breaks a fishing law, more often than not, an unjust law,
yeah.
they get hung naked on a cross because they know that they're the only ones that they could actually prosecute and do anything about. Lower 48ers, international tourists, we just won't come back and spend any money ever again if we get charged with something. So more often than not, And I've never been charged with anything in Alaska. We follow the rules. We fish the way the laws are written.
It's
But
getting more difficult. It's starting to be more like Oregon and other states where the rules change depending on what day of the week it is and
I hate
what
that
100
nonsense.
foot section of the river you're on. The latest thing that hit us in our caribou hunt this year is they do these instant closures. So I don't know if people understand the concept of being in remote Alaska where there is no cell phone reception or data.
Yeah,
But if you happen to be out there when they arbitrarily close it, and you could go out in the morning and it would be closed in the afternoon, and you
right,
somehow have to prove that you shot it in a legal time.
right.
And if you didn't, they're taking it at a minimum. They're taking your game at a minimum.
At a minimum.
And most of the time, you get at least some sort of a small fine that says you can't hunt for a couple of years.
And
But if
Alaska's and
it's
Alaska's
egregious
one of
or if you
those.
fight from them, it's you can't hunt for life now. And it can
Well,
be felony level crimes. Now you can't have a
and
firearm.
and Alaska is one of those states that they can take everything you use to illegally take a game. They can take your
Get
boots, your
there.
rifle, the truck you drove there. They can
That's correct.
any tool or item that you
Whether
use.
you own it or not.
Yeah,
So,
whether you own it or not. Which then all of the fly-in guide services, the drop places, they're going to be very leery to do those things for
well,
much
except
longer.
again, the majority of those guys are non-residents
Right.
and their stuff isn't here. So
Yeah.
they fly their planes south to Oregon, Washington, or Idaho, where they live year round. They only come up here for a couple of months.
They could just not come
There's a
back.
lot of things that we need to fix in Alaska, but it's kind of stacked against, like many places. The deck is stacked heavily against the populace,
Yeah.
right? There is a group of people that have a lot of money and influence, and in Alaska, they tend to not be Alaskans. So money and influence comes from the guides, sport fishermen's guides, and the majority of those guys are non-residents. So there's lots of problems, which is not to say that every guide is bad because they're not. Um, Not even every non-resident guide is bad because they're not. And there are people that do a great job of stewarding our resources responsibly and well.
Correct.
But as you know, it only takes one or two bad apples in a barrel to make the whole thing be nasty and rotten.
Well,
So
and quite frankly, all of the Western states, and really across the nation, but specifically the Western states,
we have major problems.
organizations like PETA,
Yeah,
heavily leftist,
total pain in the
vegan and vegetarian organizations have been infiltrating our conservation departments,
oh,
and writing just slipping in policy to make it more and more
tiny things
complicated. They're
making
just
hunting a sport
right,
and gun a hobby.
right.
Neither of those are true.
Neither of those are true.
Like
The
Second
biggest
Amendment,
mistake
not
we ever
about
allowed.
hunting anyone except politicians.
Mhm.
That's what the Second Amendment is about.
And
That's
if
why
you
they
want
want
to
to take it.
if you want to put a dollar sign on it, like if you want to say if your collective household income, you make more than $250,000 a year, then you're a sport hunter. And if you make less than that, then you're a subsistence. I don't care, but there
Well, they do
cannot
that, but your
be.
subsistence is something like 30 or 40 grand.
But there, and the only reason I use a larger number like 250 is you and I both know that there might be a large household income, that there's also a great household outgo to keep a business afloat. You know a lot about that. I mean, those kinds of things. But all I'm saying is even if they want to draw a delineation the idea between subsistence and sport, there must always be, and most states outside of Alaska, most states, they do not acknowledge subsistence hunting and fishing any longer. They only see it, unless you're native, of course. If you're native, then everything is subsistence, whether you're stealing or not. But
Or,
you know,
or eating it or just letting it rot. Yeah.
right? Yeah, yeah, and
And you see
catching it.
that a lot in Oregon. I saw it a
Yeah, a
ton in
lot
Oregon.
of Oregon and
Wanton
Washington,
waste,
terrible.
absolute. I'm going to catch this in front of you because I can and you can't.
Yeah.
And then you're going to watch it sit here and rot.
Well, and the fact of the matter is that in the next 3 to 5 years, native steelhead on the Columbia River will be
Oh, yeah.
absolutely extinct. There will not
Yeah.
exist. There will not be any native, biologically native steelhead, because the tribes have fished them to oblivion. They punish
Right.
sport fishermen. Sport fishermen are not what's making the ecological
Right.
craziness.
Yeah.
And
Our
and
problem
and
in Alaska is Chinese. So
oh yeah,
Chinese and
yeah,
Russians are
yeah.
coming into
Chinese
our
and
waters,
Russians, they fish your
and they
waters,
don't
and they
have responsible fishing. They use huge nets. They drag the floor. They drag the ocean. They just take whatever. The bycatch is astronomical.
yeah,
They
it's
do
insane.
not care.
It's insane.
Yeah. They make the Japanese look good.
Now, let me just bring it back to the theme of this show, the Prep
What is
Pastures
it?
podcast. Why are
Oh,
we talking about the politics around hunting and fishing? Well, that's one of the
big deal, right?
ways. That's one of the
Yeah.
ways that we prep. Here, let me show you. I'll give you a really great example.
Bring
So
show
my
on.
son, I'll brag about the goofy kid. So my son shot a really beautiful big whitetail this week, which I'm very, very happy about.
So help me
Um,
out. What's big? Like finish your thought, but then I don't understand how big a whitetail is. How do I relate that? Like a
sure. I
large
mean, it's
dog?
a
Like
no.
no, I mean
Yeah,
you're the size of
yeah,
dogs.
absolutely. So like, well, I'll give you an example. So here's the stack of harvested meat that just off of the back quarters, the back two legs.
Okay, so it's two of the
So
lower quarters,
that you're talking about
100 pounds.
25 pounds, 30 pounds of meat right there.
Okay,
Um,
trimmed and everything.
yeah, and then equal amounts of dog food. So sinewy parts, shank bones, which
Yeah, you're
which
being
which
picky.
shank bones can go either way, soup or dog food. We usually do dog food with them.
Yeah,
I don't. You don't get enough shank bones off of a deer to do it. Even one batch of ossobuco. I'd have to do multiple deer for that. But anyway, we have a livestock guardian dog. That's going to be
yeah.
like a week's worth of food spread out over the winter for her. So but anyway, that's just the back quarters. So the rest of that animal, I still have the rest of probably another 100+ pounds of meat to process. So all told, you're talking about 100 pounds of meat that's harvested off of that animal. That is
Mhm.
significant. Like right now, I don't have any monetary income right now. So 100 pounds of meat that we do not have to purchase. That cost us $8.50 for my son's tag, and it cost $30 for box ammo. That's
Well,
a
you only used what, two?
you, he only used one. I mean, we used it. We used a handful for sighting his rifle, getting ready for the season.
That's
But
good for a couple of years,
yeah, that's good for a couple of years.
arguably forever.
You put that rifle away, and we'll just do a couple tune-up rounds a year now that's all set up. But the bottom
Yeah,
line of that's 100 pounds of protein that I put into my freezer, for $38, and
yeah.
that's significant. Now we've got most people who know, and maybe they follow Free State Homestead. We've got meat chickens. I got 50 more that need to be butchered next week. Um, we've got uh, um, we've got pigs that'll be ready to be butchered in January. Those things are looking awesome. Yeah, they're getting ready. Stay tuned for a new video from Free State Homestead. We built a brand new kind of pig pen that's mobile. I'm very excited about it. My dad had a great idea, so we're gonna show you how that works when we move our pigs from one pig pen to another, which is always a little risky. You don't end up with pigs running through the woods. But
Are you getting your dad like dadisms on Free State Homestead? Like, are you getting him on camera?
a little bit, yeah, some, not
Okay.
not not a ton. He doesn't love it. He doesn't.
He
So
needs some positive reinforcement from a couple of episodes going out there that that you can articulate to him like, look, I mean, this was serious success, and everybody goes, hey, love your dad. I could take it or leave it if you're on the show or not, but could you please
I
just get more of your dad? Because
listen. The
prep your
editing, the editing gets 90% harder when Dad is on camera because there are so many
nah,
more curses.
you just need a quick bleep button. Um, but or just let it ride. Man,
Just
let it
let it
ride.
ride.
Let it
Just let it
ride.
ride. I
I mean,
like those
everyone else
channels
can
that
curse.
add like sneezes and cough sounds and stuff over it instead of
Yeah,
the beep. Like just that's what she said.
there you
Yeah.
go.
So, but no, anyway, Dad definitely needs to. I filmed a short yesterday of us. we were, we just come off the China virus, right? All of us and our whole family,
Yeah.
and we had a really rough time. I'll give you guys a sneak peek real quick. So Dad and I are still very weak. We do not have a lot of
It
energy
takes time.
right now.
Yeah.
So this is us. There's a power washer that needed to get moved. This is us hillbillying this power washer. We just strapped it to the front of my son's little four-wheeler, and because neither of us had the strength to drag it.
Hey,
So he's like,
get it
forget it,
done.
man.
I
So we,
remember the first time I met your dad, you were having me pick him up in the Anchorage airport. And I'd never seen a picture, I've never met him. I have no idea. But you're just trying to describe your dad to me over like a text, I think even. And you're like, look, bottom line is when you see him, you'll know. Because he could just be no one else but him. And you'll know. And it was like a couple minutes later, here comes the guy down, the little funnel point, the choke point. And I'm like, enough said. And I walk, you must be Kirk's dad. Why, yes, I am. I don't remember what he said. It wasn't that, but
so
anyway, it's so
so
funny
the
because he's just such a distinctive character,
he
which is
is.
all to say when you grow up being mentored in the various directions that happens, right?
Yeah,
The person that you become is rather unique.
yeah.
And
Well,
that's a
you
good thing. Meant as
wait until you see the video of this, and this is 100%
yeah,
old redneck like idea, okay? And I would not have thought of it this way. I would not have thought to do it this
different
way.
generation. Yeah.
And but my dad he's an old redneck, but he's also like a legit engineer, and he's worked for large companies like
Yeah,
designing.
smart brain and
He's
a lot of
brilliant,
experience.
right? And
Yeah.
so anyway, I
And
love it.
he's
You're
like
gonna love it.
100.
He's not a
Um,
hundred.
no,
No, he's not.
you can tell him I said that.
I will.
I'm
I
far
will.
enough away.
It's he doesn't understand. He doesn't quite understand OPSEC yet, so he doesn't understand. Like I only refer to him as the grumpy old man. Like I don't ever
See,
say
I was
his
trying
name.
to decide. Yeah, I'm gonna have to learn the roles.
Yeah.
Learn
So
the what do you call
grumpy
it?
old man is dad. Pretty
Purple
blonde
man.
lady, is my
Yeah,
wife. You know
yeah.
the I waffle on which I think I've landed on man cub. Man
Okay,
cub is the is my son's moniker. And then Granny is my stepmom. So she's that's what she wanted to be called by the grandkids. So
nice. But you're getting
yeah,
everybody in on the show.
yeah, man. I've had my niece and nephew
Good.
on a little bit. I've had the only people who really haven't made it onto the show yet is my sister and brother-in-law.
Hmm.
But we're gonna do some canning episodes coming up. So all of that deer that you saw
Yeah,
sitting there, apart from two small packages of sirloin steaks. That is all going to be pressure canned. All of that is getting pressure canned. It will be shelf stable for years and years and years,
right.
if we can keep it on the shelf because it's going to be so dadgum tasty. So
Yeah, if you don't know, if you've ever cooked with an instant pot, then you have a slight understanding of what it's like to eat pressure canned meats.
yeah,
It changes the texture in a good way, unless you screw it up. Um, it sort of pulverizes any sort of gamey or
hmm
toughness, especially if you put some good enzymes in there that assist in that process.
yeah,
But getting under pressure drives the flavor in.
yeah. And we're going to keep it really basic. It's going to be salt and pepper for the most part, and then
You
like you
can't
said,
put too much.
no,
You can't put too
because
much of any flavor because it becomes overpowering.
Yeah, because the pressure literally draws it down. And so that's why pressure canning is so very, very valuable. There'll be some videos about that coming up soon, as
It's what
well.
our ancestors did before they had refrigeration. And refrigeration, I mean, even the 1950s or so, unless you were rich, you didn't have a refrigerator. I mean,
No,
my grandparents
you might have had
and
an ice box to deal with leftovers, but that's about it.
that
You
depended
couldn't,
where you lived,
yeah,
right? So you
you
had to
could
have
not,
access to ice.
yeah, you could not stand, you could not have weeks worth of food in your fridge. Like that was not a thing.
Yeah. Even in the 50s, the standard household refrigerators were really small by today's standards.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
yeah. So, and not as good, but, and in some ways better,
I was
unless
gonna
you're Punky
say
Brewster.
in some ways
The
better because they were actually
famous Punky
serviceable
Brewster
and
episode, because they would stay locked.
they would stay
Do you
locked, but
remember that?
yeah,
The Punky Brewster episode? That was
sure.
like some kids had died, um, and so they decided to make an episode about that. And I think our entire generation, um, if you were born anywhere in the mid to late 70s or early 80s, you
Yeah,
probably remember that episode. It was a big
sure.
deal.
Big,
So
big, big, big deal. Yep. Some
crazy.
Well, and that was when they stopped. They no longer made locking refrigerators. But
They did. Yep.
better. I would say the refrigerators were better in some regards because they were serviceable. Things were still made to last
The
forever back
compressor
then.
was still serviceable and replaceable parts, and
Yep.
the refrigerant that was used, while maybe not quite as efficient as modern refrigerants now, because we've had some really bad ones in the 2000s, um, you could at least replace it or bump it up if you had bad seals or whatever.
Right.
But yeah, no, they were not a 5 to 10 year throwaway item. They were not Kias. Like we all have Kia fridges now.
Oh yeah.
Um, but
But now,
so
but now everybody, but now everybody has fridges with the silly computer screens and 50,000 moving parts, so that they're gonna go to crap a whole lot faster.
yeah.
Speaking
Yeah.
of, the pretty blonde lady has arrived home from a
Oh, is she
long
gonna be on
day
the
of. She will not. She will not be on the show. Would you like to be on the show? What show? She. We're
She's never heard
recording.
of us. She's never heard of the prep pastor. She didn't know
She
what that
doesn't
is.
watch our content. Like that's just the no.
Oh,
She does not
I'm
watch our content.
personally offended and hurt by that.
No, I'm offended and hurt regularly. That I just stay. I stay offended and hurt, all of them.
No.
So yeah, no. But she does
Okay.
keep me in kombucha, so we got to keep her around.
Kombucha. Are you guys making it?
Oh yeah, yeah. She makes awesome kombucha.
Okay.
Hey, talk
Yeah,
about a
I need to
prep.
think
Talk
about
about a prep. Learn how to make kombucha, people. It's good for your gut
Yeah,
health.
because it's
Delicious.
non-alcoholic and you can drink it
Yep.
quite a bit. You need to think about how to take questionable water and turn it into good hydrating water, and to add good enzymes to that as well to help your gut. That's a good move.
Just to be careful. Make sure that nobody freaks out in the comment section. We cannot say that it is 100% alcohol free. There is a small fermentation process, but it's equal to about like what kimchi or
Like near
sauerkraut would be.
beer. Oh, okay.
Near beer. Near beer.
Yeah,
That's
near
right.
beers are just fake non-alcoholic. They have some small trace amounts of alcohol.
Right. Well, let's get to some headlines. Let's talk a
Oh,
little bit. There's a bunch of stuff happening
what's
in the
the other one?
news.
Kombucha.
Did you dress up in your whitey tighties and your hammer for Halloween? That is one thing. Um,
No, I'm really not into the gay S&M
no,
Cisco
no,
style stuff.
no, not my thing at all.
Yeah,
Uh,
no.
those are not real eggs, and if you could go and put those back, that would be spectacular. Hold on, bring them over. So let me show the show. Let me show the
Yeah,
show.
show those off. So are these the fake eggs you put so they lay?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So my son walked in,
You
and
keep them in the nest box.
he's very excited. He walks in, and he's like, oh, and he's very excited. No,
Nice.
we put so these are ceramic eggs that you put
Yep.
in to inspire them to lay more, and also if any of your chickens are pecking eggs, they'll peck these. They'll get frustrated because they won't break open, and hopefully
And they'll stop
train
laying.
your chickens to not. Sorry, I
Yeah,
knew
I
that
haven't
was going
seen
to
those ones. I've
happen.
never seen brown ones.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So
We used to use, we were
my
poor,
son is very frustrated right
so
now.
we used the like white hollow plastic ones
Hmm.
because that's what we had. I don't know.
We can
I never
also
really
you can also put golf
rocked.
balls in. Golf balls work too.
Oh, that would make sense, especially for smaller like bantams or pigeons, or if you do any of this what is it, quail? Supposedly
Hmm.
quails are amazing. So I
Quails are
have
amazing.
heard that this is the latest thing. In if you live in a place where they outlaw poultry,
Yes,
quail's not considered poultry, right?
correct,
Is that the right one? Yeah. And so
correct.
people are doing quail, calling them pets,
Yep, they're just
because
a pet
quail eggs are
bird.
amazing. I mean, the
Quail
French
eggs.
have considered quail eggs to be a delicacy for
Oh
hundreds
yeah.
and hundreds of years. I've never tried them.
Oh, not just the French. Brazilians. Um, oh yeah, super good.
Brazilians that are now communist.
Yeah, they are communists.
So
That was a
as of
good segue.
like this week,
Good segue.
yeah, good segue. As of this week, Now, there's a lot of question. I hear that the outgoing president is not conceding, or do you? I don't know if you have an update on that. As of right
I think
now,
he
and it is
conceded.
midday. What is it? Thursday today or Wednesday? I don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It's
it's
Thursday,
one of those days. It's one of those days. And you said he has conceded because the last
I
I heard,
believe.
like when I went to bed, he had not.
Let me check. Let me double check,
I
but I'm
believe.
pretty sure.
I believe you. But he was the outgoing president. Actually, did a Sunday special with Ben Shapiro last week, and I kind of got tired because it was all translated and it just only cared so much. But they were desperate, and what's amazing is um, actually it's not amazing at all. It's quite predictable. The Biden administration endorsed the communist candidate who was uh, apparently been in prison for something. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I don't know what, but something.
I thought it was like mass crimes, like mass murders, basically pushing his communist regime through force, and they imprisoned him for that some time back. But anyway, all that to say, a lot of people said the elections were nowhere close to fair. I have no idea if they
I
were or
don't know.
weren't. I have no idea.
Got no
He
clue.
is in power. We do know that.
All all I know
We're now a
is
communist country.
Forbes is reporting that that in Brazil, Lula win is nothing special for the U.S. And I would actually disagree with Forbes in that regard, because I think anything that the BRICS nations are a part of, we need to at least care about a little bit, because the fact that a BRICS nation now is a is officially
Communist.
re-elected communist. I think you got to care about that, because so when you talk about BRICS nations, we're talking about Brazil, India, no, Brazil, Russia, India,
I don't know what the X is.
China,
Oh, China.
and I don't remember. There's another one. I don't know, but there's a handful. Those that they're very communistic countries. So even though Russia is not officially communist nation, they claim they have no desire to ever be a communist nation again. They want to be a controlled capitalist nation, but whatever. I don't know if that's true or not. I know that they're a dictatorship at this point, so that doesn't necessarily mean you're communist. So, anyway, all that being said, the BRICS nations do matter quite a bit to the U.S., both economy and our footing in the world. And right now, the BRICS nations are very, very, very close to completely shedding the US dollar or the petrodollar as a world currency. So if that happens, if the BRICS nations roll out a crypto and basically completely walk away from the US dollar, it will be detrimental to our economic status. We will probably fall apart.
The new prime minister of England has announced that they are going to roll into a national cryptocurrency. That hit
Yeah.
this week. So the same thing that Biden
And
did
he's
through the
Indian,
Federal
and he's
Reserve.
Indian. So imagine that.
Yeah. So they're going to do it before us, and yeah, things are going to start accelerating quickly in a very bad direction.
I gotta say, it will be less malicious with Great Britain's situation. They're not trying to outthrow
I have no idea
the
to raise it.
petrodollar,
No.
but it could have that effect.
Yeah, it's going to destabilize a lot of things. What this is really doing is snowballing. When we look backwards at this time, assuming that either one of us are alive in 50 to 100 years, obviously 100 is unlikely, but 50 possibly. Maybe you, probably not me. Um, we're going to see that this time period we're in right now is already considered World War III.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely,
we're going to consider that the first strikes have already gone off. Every one of us is already at war in some fashion or another. Just as in we didn't formally enter World War II until in 1941, um, we were solidly in it for 5 to 7 years before that.
absolutely,
So
absolutely.
we're in that point now, and arguably, so the other news that I saw come out in regard to Britain was that the former prime minister apparently was caught on camera saying some things that lead people to believe that they may have actually been the ones that blew the pipeline.
Oh, yeah. There's been a lot of evidence actually come out, and there's been a lot of chatter this week that the
And she got removed
UK,
pretty quick.
yeah, that the UK is actually the ones who blew up Nord Stream 2 pipeline, the Nord Stream pipeline, but they blew up both sides, one and two.
Yeah.
But yeah,
For it, have you thought through like why yet? Because I haven't, other than to try to get us and Russia into a war, is where my brain goes immediately.
I
Is that
think
they do it knowing we'll blame each other and one of us may even do something about it, and then we're in. And once again, Britain has underhandedly drug us into something they started and perpetuated. So we'll fight for them.
You mean sinking? Are you referencing the sinking of Lusitania right now? I mean, that's yeah,
There's
exactly.
there's a couple of examples where they've done that in the past.
There's a few examples. That's exactly right. No, I do. I think that that's a real strong possibility. I think more likely than not, it was a top secret move by NATO as a whole, and it just happened to be
Could
UK
have been
pulled the
SAS troops.
UK was probably the trigger puller
Yeah.
on it.
So
They
they
did
have the
not.
capability just like us that if we wanted to do something like that very quietly and clandestine, we could,
Sure,
and so could they, and so could about 5 or 6 other countries.
absolutely.
Not every country could pull that off. It
No.
is a serious deep water dive. It is a no BS underwater demolition thing.
Yeah.
Um, it is not just an easy thing to do,
No.
but there's 5 or 6 of us in the world that could do it.
Absolutely. And then there was also some other buzz, some other scuttlebutt stuff that they were involved in a few other things that have directly hit the. There were probably British operatives working with the Ukrainians on the ground, trigger
Okay.
pulling when they sunk that battleship back in the Black Sea a few months ago.
Oh yeah.
So there's been a handful of other things. I think here's the story. I think UK recognizes that they're
Hmm.
probably on the front of the front of the NATO line to be attacked, and
Sure.
they are trying to mount a guerrilla war, against Russia now, trying to destabilize Russia as best they can. It actually makes real strategic sense if if you feel like you're inevitably going to be attacked. I'm not going to sit around and wait to get punched in the face. I'm not going to sit around and wait to get shot. If I am afraid for
I
my
think they'd
life,
rather not have blitzkrieg on their homeland again.
yeah.
Um, they'd rather not have air raids. You know,
No, there are
home
still
turf.
a lot
Yeah,
of British people still alive today,
I remember.
that remember the air raid sirens of World War II, and they were little bitty children, cowering in fear in basements and in underneath libraries and things like that, and they don't want to ever live that way again, and they're pretty hard. As much as we pick on the Brits on the show. They are they're hardcore
Deserved,
people, man.
deservedly.
Well, deservedly, yes. But I mean, you look at British SAS and you look at and they have been a very staunch ally of who we are. They led the
They
coalition
send
of
at
the willing.
least one person for every 1,000 that we do.
Yeah.
And probably at least one of those 1,000 is actually worth a shit. So there's the numbers.
Okay, sounds good. All right, another headline that I saw this week that was pretty interesting, and I wanted to specifically get your take on it.
We all
Um,
take the French to war though because we like to eat.
Well, there's that. That's true. Yeah,
They will
yeah,
cook.
yeah,
Nothing
yeah,
else, but they will cook
yeah.
for us and bring
So,
wine.
have you heard anything about the Air Force disabling all of their transponders on their aircraft this week?
That's news to me. Other than obviously, I'm quite familiar with how to do that. Um, but that everybody was doing that for some reason, that would be news to me.
Yeah. So, what I'm hearing is that all strategic Air Force flights have gone dark, and they are no longer
Strategic,
broadcasting transponders.
so true strategic flights have always been dark.
Well, okay, but let me just say it this way. the vast majority of Air Force transponders have been turned off this week.
So
Um,
there's some troop
so,
movements that need to not be publicly broadcast happening.
and
Okay.
I guess a lot of it. So
Well, that is not news to anybody who's been like friends with reservists who've been watching them for the last 6 months get called up to get ready status to go out and start doing their practice
mhm.
stuff, start tooling up and getting their home situations churched up. I
Yeah.
have seen a lot of people show up overseas on social media, which you're actually able to see these days on the Twitter pages. Did you
Hmm.
join in on the Twitter page?
I
I
did
made it
not.
this week. Just, in fact, I was purposeful to do it within an hour or two of Elon Musk walking into Twitter headquarters with a sink. Did you catch that story? So Elon walks in carrying a
It was
large bathroom sink
it was
and
beautiful.
says, "Let this sink in."
Yep.
Love it. I am here.
Yep. Let
The
this
first
sink
rounds
in.
of layoffs have happened. If you didn't hear because you live under a rock and you don't know what's going on with the Twitter pated universe, um, the four main evil characters at the Twitter corporation were escorted out the door an hour later from Elon taking over. The sale became final in the wee hours of the morning. He walked into headquarters a couple hours later. He walked in with his own engineers from his own firms, Tesla being the primary one, software engineers, and he immediately took control of the servers and locked out employees from critical functions like deleting. It took one stroke of one click to unpermanent ban everybody. Now, if
Hmm.
you were deleted, that has still happened, but everybody who was banned for whatever reason, that was instantly undone. So Twitter's been going nuts.
Oh yeah.
Then the CEO, all the people who were leading um, the board, they were not just fired but escorted out of the building by
Yep.
security
Yep.
immediately. One of them kicking and screaming, which was a great show.
Yeah.
But physically kicking and screaming, it was awesome.
Well,
Um,
I think the biggest thing that I've really appreciated coming out of Twitter has been that exact thing, is that he has laid waste to the executive structure, and he did it in such a way that he does not have to pay the giant golden parachute severance packages.
for
He
several
walked
of them,
in, he fired them for cause.
they were. So
They'll
here's
still
the
get
cause.
severance, but
This
not
come out. Have you
big.
heard this?
Mm,
He has he has proven now through their own internal communications that they lied under oath in court about their knowledge of bots and influencing the election. And he has been publicly posting on Twitter some of those communications.
oh boy.
And he has, as of this morning, locked down all Twitter employees' ability to influence the election. So they can no longer
Nice.
suppress conservative posts. They can no longer, get rid of the people they don't like because as of right now, Crowder's on a 3-week suspension. Crowder has had his voice removed completely. He's off of YouTube again for three
Oh,
weeks,
I didn't notice that,
all
but
the way
that
a
makes
week before
sense.
the election, all through the election, and a week after the election. So YouTube is working on doing that with a bunch of those members, but Twitter cannot do it.
Well, and one of the things that I think has been really important about this Twitterverse deal is simply the fact that it has come out very abundantly that Twitter was working with the CIA, NSA, and Homeland Security
Twitter
to
was the only one that did
actively,
admit it. Google admitted that they did.
yeah.
Facebook admitted that they did. YouTube, which is Google, of course, admitted
Hmm.
that they did. What was the other one? There was another social media that admitted that they did. I don't remember which one it was though.
I don't
Probably
remember.
Instagram, which is Facebook anyway. Um,
Right,
so they all admitted weeks
right.
ago that they were asked. Of course, they tried to diminish their role. That we're just being good patriots. We're just being obedient.
Yeah, but it came out that Facebook
Twitter
built
never
in a
admitted.
portal for them. If they
They
had a
had weekly
government,
meetings as well. That's right. So
yeah,
Facebook, which is Instagram, Twitter, also, you're right. Login credentials for feds to have backdoor access to everyone's information.
100%.
Yeah, which is why Snowden did another interview this week,
Yep.
with Stossel. It was great. Of
I
course,
haven't seen it
Stossel
yet,
plays
but
the
I
same.
heard that it's good.
He plays the same idiot he always does. As he's the first time he's ever heard of these things, right? And you're like, yeah,
Right.
you literally have been part of this for decades.
Right.
Well, it's the first time I've ever heard that the media was corrupt.
Right.
Really,
Yeah, he's got a weird tone about him. I like Stossel.
he
I
tries to
respect
be
Stossel.
neutral. I think he
No,
tries.
he's very vocally libertarian. He's a very
Okay,
vocally libertarian.
I didn't pick up
But
libertarian vibe,
I
but he did
think
come
that
away from the interview siding with Snowden 100% and saying
yeah.
you were wrong, which he was.
Yeah,
He was.
exactly right. But the thing that I like about Stossel is even though you know what his political leanings are, he structures his interviews in a way where he's less biased than a lot of
He gives a lot of
journalists.
voice. He doesn't cut people off. He lets them talk, and most of the time, especially recently, he in some way or the other will release a full unedited version, so you can see the whole context. And I do
Yeah,
like that about him. But yeah, Snowden. This is one of the major problems I had with Trump. Snowden should have been pardoned. We should have grabbed him back. The reality is the same people that have been in charge since before Biden are still in charge and still pulling the strings. If you think the president matters, it does somewhat, but what matters more are the unelected same people that have been appointed to positions and are employees of the machine and have been there
right,
for forever, the entrenched.
right. The fact that right now we are no longer a nation governed by checks and balances. We are governed by unelected officials that have
Yeah.
absolutely derailed democracy. They've derailed the checks and balances system at this point. We have completely forfeited the governance of this country over to
And most
these
states as
alphabet
well.
agencies.
Yeah, most states as well. My state is incredibly guilty of that. We have an entrenched group of very I don't know if I would say outright evil, although a lot of them are. Not sure
Right.
I can think of the correct word right now, but entrenched, and they pull the strings, and the rules are for you and not for them.
Correct.
Um, I see it time and time again. While the average entry level idiot in government makes not a lot of money here, those guys, the guys that are really in power, that aren't even qualified to be doing what they're doing, position after position, from our Department of Natural Resources to our Department of Transportation, they're not legally licensed to do the position that they're in, and they're getting paid three times as much as anyone else. It just,
Absolutely.
and you cannot get rid of them.
Right. And the
Untouched.
industry of government, that's the thing, is
And
these
I've
people
watched
have
them get
profited.
rid of elected officials very quickly when they cross them.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey,
How are they?
let's take a quick break, and I want to get to some more practical stuff. Hold on. We will be right back. And we're back. Sorry about that, folks. Everybody just decided to arrive
For
home
me,
at
it
my
was
house.
like 2-ish hours. For everyone watching this, it was like 2-ish
2 seconds.
seconds. Yeah.
2 seconds.
No
We're
big
back.
deal. No big
We
deal.
just we need some really good like Steven Crowder-esque like sketch comedy bits to drop in, like fake commercials. We should start
Right.
advertising fake products on
Yeah.
our breaks. That'd be great. That'd be super good.
I don't
That'd be a
have
lot of fun.
activity in my brain for that right now, but yes.
Do like
Something.
Play-Doh claymores when you need to send the very best. That'd be
There's
good
like
stuff.
there's serious putty and then or silly putty and then there's serious putty, right?
There's serious putty. Yeah, silly putty and serious putty. That's right. Yep, yep, yep. So listen,
So to wrap up this week, yeah.
I wanted to take a turn before we wrap up tonight, and just ask the question, like um, what kind of things are we looking at? What are you seeing on sale right now? What should people be stocking up on? What are you looking at right now?
Well, literally this second you should be buying diesel.
Literally this second. That is absolutely true. Yeah, I definitely need to go pick up a couple hundred gallons of diesel for sure.
So that is a known problem. I noticed locally for me this past weekend driving around that prices for diesel were down about 10 cents for what they have been,
Not bad.
which was a very strategic decision that the Democrats made on purpose right before the elections.
Right.
Uh, so they've been, if you don't know, they've been releasing oil from the strategic reserve in order to put fuel at the pumps
Right.
and get the price down.
Well,
And he's
they're
been
trying to create
threatening.
a floor for the oil companies. That's the carrot, and the stick is coming because when Biden did his little speech yesterday, basically saying, um, you know,
He
hey,
threatened if they don't go along with the program. Yeah,
aren't those awesome profits that you guys have been getting? Wouldn't it be a shame if something happened to them? Because he's threatening a windfall tax
he's
is what
threatening.
he's
Yes,
threatening.
he is,
So,
and they're going to do it. So, uh, but we also knew. Just I could have told you 2 years ago, the price will go up after election,
oh yeah,
regardless of the.
they are holding on so desperately right now, trying to keep fuel prices at a manageable. We have no idea how bad it's going to get as far as fuel prices go next week. Like they are gonna poof. They're gonna as soon as all the elections are done,
So
they can't white
I
knuckle for
filled up
much
all
longer.
my diesel, so I mean, all I'm down to is my normal fill up, which is I get to about half tank, and then you top it off.
Right,
So I have to do that, and I'm going to do that today. But I will continue to do that regardless of what the price is. I don't have a choice. I will replace what I consume to keep things full.
right.
Um,
I need to go take Exodus to town and go fill up
do
her
that.
tanks and then also put a couple $100 in the big tank for the fact that we've got equipment coming to the farm to do work for house stuff, and I might as well buy fuel now before it goes to the ceiling.
Yep. So that's one thing. Other than that, uh, I don't. Gosh, I don't know. I'm seeing some shortages on grocery shelves. You probably are seeing some of that too. I'm seeing an abundance of worthless stuff nobody needs.
Yes.
I am seeing some YouTubers put on their war face. I don't know if you noticed a certain uh, bearded Oklahoman cut it all off.
Oh, really?
He put on his war face.
That's probably some weird Nazarite something or other from it. I haven't watched his show this week. I don't know why.
I can't really stand watching it. Yeah,
He does these weird Nazarite vows where he grows his hair and his beard for a year and doesn't drink any
that
alcohol.
if that helps him in his faith to walk out his faith and be closer to Jesus, there's nothing
Right.
wrong with it.
Right.
There's nothing unbiblical about anything he's doing.
No.
It's there's also nothing requiring it, but
It's but it some of it is
more
extra
more
biblical
holy,
though.
yeah, extra biblical. Yeah, you're not more holy.
No.
Uh, so,
Can't be
um,
holier than Jesus, bud.
no. Other than that, no, I don't know. Um, we're kind of hammering the same things. I mean, this is it. It's game time already.
I will say that if you
Russia
wanted to stock
talking
up
about
on wheat
Ukraine.
berries, now is a good time just because it is wheat berry season. They just harvested most of the wheat in the country, so it's
You're
available.
all
It is notably more expensive this year. Amy, did you check with Azure on wheat berries, or did we just skip this order?
note to the editor: edit that out.
No, they said they had it in stock. No, I won't edit that out.
You're not going
Um,
to edit out names, personal names. You're doxing yourself.
well, yeah.
Um, that's up to you. Uh, so if you go backwards and there's a little blip, that was an edit.
Mm,
Yeah.
right.
Uh,
Hey, anyway, so yeah,
okay, so
so
wheat berries, check
Azure
into that.
said,
It certainly is
yeah,
not seen my shelves yet.
no,
No.
no, you
I
guys don't have it on your shelves yet.
oh gosh, no, no. And my primary source is still Amazon for those things. So the price has always been up there, and it won't hit good pricing if it ever does on
54 bucks for
Amazon.
25 pounds on Amazon, and that's hard red. Hard red is
I'd have
often
to
winter wheat.
look. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't know what would have just rolled off. Was it white wheat season or
Yeah, yeah, and if anyone's
small?
farming einkorn this year, it would have been this time of year. Like right
Okay,
now, I'm stocking up on barley. We just got from the last Azure order. We got I think 3 bags or 150 pounds, or yeah, that's or just yeah, just under 150 pounds of barley. So
good.
and it took us a couple of months to be able to get barley from Azure. That's another. It is in season right now. There's a grain elevator north of me. I need to talk to and find out what their price is, because the sprouting system is working really really well. So I'm definitely generating between 12 and 15 pounds of food a day. For about $2 according to my math. So that's been really really good. Of course, we don't have to pay for water, so I mean that's another thing. If you were having to pay for water, it might not be as
Your water is
profitable for you.
electricity. Yeah.
Right, right.
What? How is electricity in your part of the country?
It's
So we're
good.
like
It's
14
it's.
cents a kilowatt here.
I
I
don't
think
know.
Oregon was somewhere around 5 or 6. So you're probably somewhere in between, like 10.
I know that when we lived in the Dalles, that was like the
Some
cheapest power in the country because of the
should have been like
stack of
5.
hydroelectric dams that we lived at. You know what I mean? So,
Most of
so we had
Texas.
the Dalles Dam, we had Bonneville Dam, and we had John Day Dam, and
Yep.
all within 30 miles of each other. And so we were in the best, the cheapest electric power around. But I will say that where we live in Missouri, we have a great power co-op, and they do a pretty good job of keeping things mostly affordable. Right now, we've been taking on other portions of the family bills. Dad and my stepmom are they cover the power bill. So I don't know for sure, but I don't think it's been terrible. I'll tell you what is awful right now is propane. Propane is awful,
Oh,
like almost $5 a gallon, and
it was been
a
5.5
lot of
here.
people,
Time.
a lot of places around here,
Heat with it.
um, they, well, I don't know if but I'm just saying a lot of places around here they don't charge you per gallon; they charge you per container. So if you roll up with a 20-pound container, you get charged for you get charged for a 20-pound container. You don't get charged for how many gallons. So if you came in with a third of a fill, you pay for it. And so I literally drove around for half a day the other day while I had the China virus, because they had announced another big price hike on propane, and I went to go fill a bunch of our propane canisters, and it took me half a day to find a place that would charge me per gallon and not per container. So which Love's Truck Stop. That's what I found. There was a Love's Truck Stop about
We cater
20
to
minutes up
RVs
the road.
probably. Yeah,
They
that
do
makes
care.
sense.
They cater to RVs. Yep, that's exactly what it's for. And then of course, you've got the truckers that roll with the propane forklift on the back and stuff. They fill
Oh,
those guys too.
sure. Yeah.
So yeah. But it was
Propane's a
almost
great
five.
fuel. I mean, it's not real efficient of a fuel,
It never goes
but
bad.
it never goes bad. It can be stored indefinitely as long as the container is
Yeah.
not
Don't let the
compromised.
container rust.
Right.
So yeah, propane, and propane accessories. You guys need to get them.
Yeah. Well, and it's an easy conversion for a lot of vehicles too. Um,
Yeah,
but
it's true.
not that many of us are going to be doing that. But
My dad did
so
when I
yeah,
was my
as
dad did when I
far
was
as
young, when the early '80s fuel shortages. My dad
Mhm.
converted a couple of our vehicles to propane. They get real frowny about it because propane doesn't have the road tax on it, and they don't have a way to do the road tax on propane right now. So they really don't want to see you doing that on your vehicle. But
we're
I
gonna
say, screw
we're
them.
gonna start seeing that change because they're just gonna roll it into tires and other
Well, they
things
already do. We're so we're so
to some
quadruple
point.
taxed I
Yeah,
mean,
we're taxed on our taxes,
yeah, we I'm pretty sure we fought like a Revolutionary War because of double taxation.
or taxation without representation, which arguably none of us have anymore.
Arguably, we don't, but it was also the double the what got the Tea Party, what started the Boston Tea Party was the double taxation. They had an income tax and a sales tax on tea, and so they got taxed for making money and they got taxed for buying stuff with their money, and that's what motivated them to throw it in the part in the ultimately it evolved and metastasized into taxation without representation, but double taxation is actually what began the conversation. That and Great Britain trying to take people's guns. So,
Yeah.
because the first sign of a tyrant is someone trying to take away your ability to defend yourself.
Yep.
I wanted to shake the little girl at the feed store today. All right, I had to go to the feed
Mhm.
store and get some chicken feed, and she was telling me a story about how she's like telling me about how she lives alone, and she was sitting there on her couch one night and was like, "What would I do if there was somebody on my back porch, like looking in my windows?" And I was like, "Yeah, what would you do? That's a great question. You need to be able to answer that question. Like, don't outsource your personal security. Like, that is not a good idea." And then she said that minutes after she had been thinking that, her cat jumped off the roof onto the back porch and knocked a bunch of stuff off her barbecue grill, and she like had a heart attack. So I said, well, you know what? That's a good dry run. You good practice. Go shoot the cat, and because they're just intruders.
Yeah, cats should not be allowed outdoors.
So anyway, the other thing that I was that we're getting ready to do is basically everything we've got needs an oil change, and
Oil's
we got to
been
do that.
hurting. I don't know about
Yeah,
you, but I'm nursing a couple of vehicles because the cost of, well, and honestly, not so much the cost. I fully expect to pay hundreds of dollars. It's just availability of quality. So,
yeah.
the type of oil that Ford tells me to run in their motor
Hmm.
has not been available for 2 years.
And they are very finicky motors.
Yeah, I've got some finicky stuff happening right now, but as soon as I give the big FU to the EPA, that's all going to just go away. The
Well,
water will no
I
longer be sensitive anymore. And what do you know? It'll get 22 miles per gallon all
I
over
have
again.
I have a buddy who blew up a motor in a Dodge last year, and and they started down the road of, well, you weren't using an approved oil filter and you weren't using approved oil, and he was like, listen,
But
if
you
you'll look,
installed
if
it.
you
Yeah.
no, he's like he always did it himself, and he said, look, here's the deal. I bought my filters from you and I bought my stuff from you, and you knew exactly what I was doing with it, and you told me over and over again you couldn't get the specific ones that were
Right.
recommended for this motor because of the
Yep.
pandemic and because of supply chain issues. So yeah,
Yep.
they didn't give him any trouble on the warranty. They did that, not because of that. He didn't really have any trouble at all, but he didn't get any trouble because of that. I was really
Yeah.
worried that that's how they were going to protect themselves.
That's been an issue, and that is a standard, like where they start. But
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. No, and I've got another diesel that, an old 8.3 liter Cummins, that semi diesel, and I'd like to do some maintenance on it. And they're like 5, 6 gallons of oil also.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean,
But
it was almost well, it would have been if it was, and then I got to take a bunch of it back because I had a dear friend help me, but it was going to be $1,000 minimum just to
yep.
do all the fluids in Exodus,
Oh, sure.
because so the military on the MTV trucks, they run engine oil in the transmissions. Well, they drive like they got engine oil in the transmissions. And everybody says, like you really want to flush that transmission, and you want to specifically run a very Syntac from Caterpillar, very specific Caterpillar
Yep.
flavored,
But anytime you
made
change it, it
made
requires
from
a lot of
real
flushing.
caterpillars. I think it was made from real cat. They harvest the butterflies and they turn it into
Right.
transmission
Particle
fluid.
silk. Yeah, it's all
But
good,
anyway,
silky.
yeah, that's
Um,
that's how they get it silky smooth. It's butterfly wings for sure. But anyway, that stuff was ridiculously expensive, and it needed gallons of it.
yeah,
So there was that, the engine oil, and then there were 3 transfer cases and 6 fluid hubs that all had to be changed. And I will tell you,
portals.
it was this much fun. It was a week. It was probably more like 10 days of being under that truck, learning how to do all of it, you know, because I did not have a support column full of guys who had been through A school on that truck,
Yeah,
it was just me. It was just me.
yeah, they make it so crayon eaters can do it, so it's not too hard to figure out.
Yes, yes, I can. Yep,
All
that's true.
right, so looking forward, you can expect, um, looking forward in the coming week. I don't think it's any secret that we can expect a lot of strife and turmoil and threats to continue. Um,
Well, we've
depending
got
on
U.S. soldiers in Ukraine now, and it sounded like today they actually, they were supposedly inventorying weapons caches. Well, guess where Russia has been attacking weapons caches. So
yeah,
we have guys like in country now, like openly in country, not hidden
right, we're
anymore.
admitting that they're there. They've been there for a while.
Yeah,
So it would not be surprising to have a 9/11 type event
right,
a day or two prior to an election,
right,
or on election day, even. If they
sure,
think they're going to lose, they'll pull out all the stops. If
yep.
they don't think they have adequate resources in place to win by cheating, if they don't think they're able to do it, they
You mean
will
kind of
find a way
like
to
you mean
election.
kind of like how W did with 9/11? You kind is that was that kind of is that similar? Is that what
I
you're
don't
talking about?
subscribe to that at all, but I was not really near election, was it?
Well, I mean, September is pretty near an election. 6 5 6 weeks out from a midterm.
Democrats traditionally have been the Saudi friends, so I don't know. Tough one there.
Building 7. Building 7. Show me the Pentagon. So I'm saying bunch of Saudi attackers. Saudi never got held accountable.
No,
So
we did never hold them accountable. That's for sure. Um, but it did give us an excuse to go kick some ass on some other people that needed to be held accountable for other shit. But
now that is true. I am not one of those people who says that we should not have been in Iraq and Afghanistan.
we should not have
Um,
stayed that long.
no,
Uh,
we should have flattened them and left.
yes, I was a big fan of turning the whole thing into one big glass parking lot.
Yes,
Let
that
God
would have been
sort them out.
that would have been great. That would have been great.
We would be living in times of peace right now.
Yeah, well, we certainly
After
wouldn't
you
be
do that, you
watching.
get 50 to 100 years of absolute peace.
That's exactly right because Russia wouldn't be screwing around right now. Well, you know what? And I
They
listen.
would have enjoyed the same peace.
I
We might
watched.
actually be real allies with them at that point.
I was watching Breaking Points today, and hold on, that's a
Uh-huh.
cat. There's the cat tail. That was awesome.
That's right.
Not my
Clint
cat. Not
does
not
that
my
all the time.
cat.
So.
The cat heard me talking trash about cats earlier and came and decided to stuff its tail in my camera. That's pretty awesome. But anyway, I was listening to Breaking Points today, and they actually had to give props to President Trump. There's no denying it now. There was
Okay.
5 years where North Korea did absolutely nothing
Yeah, because he
because
told them
be,
not to.
because he was willing to talk to them with no precepts, and he was like, look, I'm just gonna go talk to these people. Like we're gonna have some talks. Mike Pompeo was there constantly. Trump met with you know Kim and did all that stuff, and we saw the Hermit Kingdom just like back the heck up for 5 years, and
They did.
now and now they're launching missiles over Japan. Our
Yeah.
Japanese allies are regularly at this point getting incoming missile alerts on their televisions while they try to watch TV at night. I mean, this is and it's
But
all because we have feckless leadership.
but we have not had Godzilla go mess up a nuclear facility
That is true.
since they started keeping them at bay with their missile launches again.
That is true. That is true. That is true. So thank you, North Korea, for keeping
Thank you, North
Godzilla
Korea,
at
for
bay.
keeping the world safe from Godzilla. I
That's
mean,
right.
Fukushima was kind of out of control.
But
So
I think your point of in the days to come, the reality of a really tumultuous event. I mean, everybody, the mainstream media
whether
is
it is right
focused on.
before, during, or after,
Mhm.
something's going to happen.
Well, you think about it. You think about it like this. Everybody's focused on Ukraine and Russia, and I get it. Like, there's a real chance for nuclear war. There's a real chance for at least a tactical nuke being used. Like, you know, all the stuff we talked about Great Britain earlier in the show. Okay, but you also have Iran is queuing up for a major offensive against Saudi Arabia, and you have North Korea is queuing up for a potential conflict with either South Korea, Japan, us, and you. I really, really think that if we see China step toward Taiwan, we are probably going to see North Korea step towards either South Korea or Japan. And it's, I mean, there we have a lot of crazy stuff. Like right now,
There's a small part of me that'd
everything.
like to see a North Korea Japan interaction.
Oh no, Japan will stomp a mud hole in them, but we have like 100,000 soldiers and airmen, at that air base in South Korea. That's
We
like
are
40 miles from
we
the
are
DMZ.
compelled to join. We're compelled to join if that happens,
Oh yeah,
which I
and
don't
then
wish
we'll
for.
we'll be at war with China because China and North Korea are allies.
We are in World War III now. We are arguably in a civil war at the same time.
100%.
We're just waiting for some of the shooting to get found out and
We're just waiting for
a little
kinetic.
more action.
It's just we're waiting for it to go kinetic involving us. It's already kinetic involving other people.
I, I I would argue that if you told me that no U.S. military force fired rounds today, I wouldn't believe you.
No, I wouldn't say that. But I mean, you understand what I'm saying when I mean kinetic. I mean like full
We're
blown
still in an
open.
Air America status where we're denying what we're doing.
Great. Yeah, Evergreen Airlines for sure.
There you go.
You're going to go get him? Okay.
So yeah, be prepared for that. I mean, we've been saying get prepared. Now's the time to just kind of top things off. You should already have your basic preparations already in place.
Mhm.
We're really not speaking anymore to those who are not prepared at all. We're speaking to those
Maybe we
that are
are.
prepared, that are thinking what's our top off, and it's go top your tanks and top your food stuff with what's out there.
Solar Solar is going to be
Uh,
my next big investment. I've got some little
Oregon,
tiny solar stuff. I've got a couple $100 worth of solar built into my bug out trailer so that I can charge tool batteries and I can charge stuff if the grid goes down. But I think I'm going to go ahead and invest in some real solar, like whole house stuff.
yeah, I mean, a lot of the components that are in those things have been hard to find for a couple of years.
Yeah,
Um, chips and components, and a lot of that stuff's made in China. So whether it's assembled here or completely made in China, either way, China still has some pretty active COVID lockdowns again. So pretty consistently,
yeah,
they've got financial revolt happening over there right now. They've got banks that are collapsing. Their mortgage industry is totally collapsed.
oh,
So
China's a disaster.
yeah, China's having a lot of problems too. They need a war to pull out of what they've got going on. So
They're
you got to
motivated.
look. They're pretty motivated to go acquire another country that has some of the things that they've got screwed up right now. We know they're constantly hunting the farmland and the fishing grounds. They're over here fishing on top of our fishermen in our waters.
Yeah,
We, of course, do very little. We've chased off at Alaska, I think, two or three Chinese and Russian fishing trawlers that are not just over the line, but like within our 7 mile territorial waters,
right.
actively raping our coasts of our fishing. So
Absolutely. It's ridiculous.
they're they're here poking the bear,
They
um,
are. They are.
and so things are going to continue to heat up. On the financial side of things, I think we talk about it on or off the show. Great Britain has launched their own electronic currency
Yeah.
program to
Yeah, we
mirror
did.
what the Fed has dictated through Biden and executive orders back in March. I think they're going to actually stand up quicker than we are because there's less of an ability of the people there to resist. So we are going to
Yeah.
see these crypto electronic currencies. I shouldn't say cryptos because they're really not all that cryptic. They're
Yeah,
not
they're
end
not
to
going
end.
to be a blockchain.
No,
They
they're just
want to
going to be
track and know
run.
everything.
It's all it is just government run. So
That's
they
right.
own your money now, and then we'll see shortly after that. Paper cash will be done away with. Nice. Your yeah,
Asshole
your
cat.
windy kitten is your mic is drooping or something.
Sounds good.
Your boom mic is drooping.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm about to have a dead cat. I
about to
don't
have
have
a
a
dead
dead.
cat
I don't
on
have
a
a dead cat.
shotgun mic.
Yeah. There he goes again.
So
There he goes again.
there he goes
Stop it.
again. See, now that he figured out how to get attention doing that, huh?
Yeah.
What are you rocking? You got the ZVE 10 on tripod there or what?
No, I'm just using my camera or my webcam.
Webcam? Your
Yeah.
built-in webcam? That's pretty good
Well,
for.
this is a brand new MacBook Pro, so it's got a
uh,
really good camera. So I've been using that for most of these things.
I've never used the one on mine. It is disconnected software. Because I don't use it.
Yeah,
So anyway, back to that. Um, you need to decide now is a good time to continue positioning for that. It's kind of too late to get your money out of the bank, right? That's not going
unfortunately.
to help you well. I've heard some speculation. There's a couple of the electronic currencies that are supposedly going to be allowed to exist within the system do already exist, and there are some people who are investing into those, somewhat speculatively, right? So get in right now where they're worthless, and then once they're backed by the Fed as something that you can use within their system, it'll obviously be worth a lot more. So there's
Yeah,
some speculative investing that way. I'm not
yeah,
personally choosing to do that because I'm not sure if I'm going to buy in at all.
yeah.
But and so precious metals right now is still a very good time to get
Very good.
silver as far as the spot price.
Yep.
Gold relatively, I mean, historically it's still a little high, but it's been higher. Um, so spot for silver was good today for investing. The issue that I'm finding is that a lot of people are hesitant to buy online, and I get it. I am too because they're absolutely telling
They're
the feds
tracking
what you
all of
buy
it.
from them.
They're
Yep.
tracking all of it.
So I get that, and local market and exchanges are hesitant to sell because most of them are in above where the spot price is right now, and they're not willing to take a loss.
Yeah,
So they know that
yeah.
short term wise is in 1 to 2 years, it's going to skyrocket. So they're not willing to
So
sell.
last year, right about now,
Hmm.
right, I think we both bought some silver on Black Friday, and
Probably.
I think we got a really good deal on Black Friday, of about like 23 bucks, I want to say 23 bucks, and today it's
You can buy for about,
1977.
yeah,
So I mean,
yeah, under 20.
yeah, it's under 20 right now, and now would be a great time if you've got liquid capital, or you're trying to get money out of the bank, without like going and pulling a bunch of money out of the bank. Buy things, okay? We are not
Put it in
financial
things that are
advisors.
hard for them to come and take, as
Right.
in food, heating oil,
Yeah.
propane, things you're going to use that are going to go
Yep.
up in price anyway.
Yep. Yep.
Invest your money, your liquid cash. What I
Yep.
would not do is run up a credit card. So with these interest rates continuing to hike, which it didn't happen today, which means it's going to happen either tomorrow or Monday.
Yeah.
There will
Yeah.
be another interest rate hike this week.
Yep.
Um, I think it's possible that Biden is going to convince them to wait until after the election, but I'm not sure if he'll pull that off because the Fed's been saying that it was going to be this week for a long time.
Yeah.
But so yeah, interest rate hike this week or next week, and
Yeah. I
then
would
there
I
will be
would not
one
be
more in
surprised if it was
December
next week because of the election.
because of the election and Biden's losing everywhere. Um, but then there will be one more in December. And then we expect, in the financial experts, we expect that the rate of increase will slow, right? So instead of whole point and 3/4 point, point and a half even increases, we'll be going back down to quarter small increment increases after the
Right.
first of the year. But they are going to continue to increase probably into the spring.
I think so. I think
So, well,
by spring we'll see
that's
what, point and a half by springtime.
uh, maybe as much as two. We will see a 30-year fixed mortgage be in the solid 7.5, potentially as much as 8%. So those are historical norms. And the thought of the Fed right now is that if they go back to those historical norms, they'll go back to historical good times. But it's way more complex than that, and they know that. They know that they've just mismanaged through political influence for years and years, and now they have to pay the piper. So
Exactly. Exactly.
we'll see.
We'll
We'll
see.
see.
Well,
So
on that
credit cards,
cheery
which
note,
means don't be in debt on credit cards.
right. Yep. Get out of the credit cards. That's the very
You're
fast,
in
quick thing. If you can
variable
get out
rate
of vehicle, if you can get out of vehicle
mortgages.
loans, get out of vehicle loans. I
Bad
mean, if you can.
idea. If you're in a fixed good rate, so I mean, the
Yeah.
last three vehicle loans that I've had were at 0, 1.9, and 2.9%. And those are all lower than inflation. So I would not hesitate to continue those as long as I had no danger of paying them. Um, those are good places to be in. They help your credit to pay on those monthly.
Yep.
Um, you've borrowed money and you're paying it back with less money.
Yep.
Financially, it makes sense most of the time.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
there are
It's
some
true.
times where it doesn't, but most of the
I
time
was
it does.
I came to that conclusion this week. I was getting very motivated just to get a truck sold, just get out of the payment. And then I realized, the payment is not that bad, and the interest rate is super good. So it's like, well, might as well just pay it off and get it done, over the next year. So, you know, right now it's a fixed rate, so I don't have to play the games. So
Yeah, it's fixed rate. Most auto loans and secured debt is at a fixed rate. So those are not the things that you need to worry about paying off as long as fixed
no,
rate is something reasonable.
exactly,
So
exactly.
I'd say
So
anything less than 4% um,
sit on it.
would not make sense to pay off. I would in the model of what's happening, I'd rather hang on to my cash or invest it in things that I know are going to jump up way more than 4 or 5%
Yeah,
in value or in
absolutely.
cost, like fuel.
Yep,
So
absolutely.
yeah, there's your economic sense. Obviously, if you were planning to move or something like that, it's too late. May as well figure out how to hunker down where you are. Wait for a couple months, see what happens in the new year.
Yeah,
Um, I'd say we're solid into the point where you should not travel far from home for the
yeah,
next probably 1 to 3 months.
yeah.
I would say if
I would not spend a lot
you
of
had tickets
time.
to Mexico right now, I would cancel them.
Hmm.
If you were thinking about driving through Canada next week, I would not.
Yep,
If you were even going to drive across the U.S., I would not next
yeah,
week.
yep,
I recommend you not work away from home. Um, be near your loved ones or take them with you.
yep. That's
Now,
right.
if you have to go prepared. Go prepared to, you know, spend a month getting home.
Hmm.
Take a truck, rent a truck, do whatever you got to do to have all your gear with you.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't
be
go more
cancel.
than an hour from home without a full loadout, full get home
Oh,
bag,
I've been in that stage for a long time,
body
but yeah,
armor, carbine, multiple loadouts worth of ammo, multiple days worth of food, ability
depending
to
on where
make
you are,
water.
be prepared to do that gray man style.
Hmm.
Make sure you've printed your maps ahead of time. I didn't bring it with me. Did we? I think we showed and told on the bunker a while back. I've been moving things to electronic tablets, Kindle style paperwhites, right? So
You
they
did
have
show.
batteries
Yep.
that last like a month. Although I put them in there with the charger and they're living in EMP bags.
Yeah. It's a great idea.
You can put PDF maps onto those,
Yep.
and it can hold just more than your phone can hold. So a lot of
Oh,
maps. Your
for sure.
Onyx style. But
Yep.
that's the other thing you can do too if you don't have a Kindle or whatever, but maybe you have an old phone. Get into your Onyx or Gaia or any of these GPS softwares, right?
Yep.
All of them have the function to operate in an airplane mode um, with downloaded maps. So
Yep.
download your area maps, and they expire, so you need to do it every month or two.
Yeah.
And then put the thing in airplane mode and stick it in an EMP bag and just keep it as
And
an
you can
emergency
get
resource.
and you can get incredibly detailed maps for free from GIS. I mean, stuff. I mean, like you can get. You don't have to do the Onyx thing. That's actually expensive. There
I
are
don't
free ways
think
to
I pay
do
like
through the
$60
government.
a year,
Yeah, $60 a year. I mean, I
but it
guess
gives
I get it.
me land ownership. So
That's what
because I
I
don't do the
that's what
whole
I love it.
country, I do one state.
Right. Right.
And that is a big difference in the price point. But you're not wrong. They're available as a PDF from a lot of sources. And those can be opened in your Kindle type Paperwhite
Sure.
or even just an old tablet. I like the Kindle Paperwhite because it doesn't put a lot of light off,
Right.
right? So it's not night vision compatible, but it's low light
Very low
compatible.
light. Very low
And
light.
certainly if you had the proper poncho involved, you could do it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but they will last for a week
Yeah.
on in use. And that's
Yeah.
what you need is something with a really long battery life.
Yeah.
So, but
Absolutely.
EMP proof it.
Absolutely. If you've got good, your good self-defense tools,
Yeah.
make sure that you have the holsters that go with them so that you can actually carry them effectively. Don't go like gangster tucking them into your waistband. Good, get the good stuff. Don't buy the trash. If it comes from Walmart,
It's
don't go that road.
made
You
by
need to be looking,
Blackhawk. It says
yeah,
what's the name of that cheap old
Serpa.
fabric stuff that we used to always buy? Smith something
Oh,
or
Uncle Mike's,
Uncle Mike's. Yeah. That
Uncle
stuff is
Mike's.
great. Like if you're putting it in your purse and you need something to cover the trigger.
Sure, that's fine.
Or if you have a buy
It's
gun that doesn't
also
have a case, you could
it's
keep it in Uncle Mike's in a drawer.
it's also a really great way to store your weapon in a wet sponge. That's
Yes,
really really
in
great
in
for.
a corrosion rich environment.
Corrosion rich environment. No, seriously,
Which if it's blocked, it doesn't matter.
um, look at Black Hills Tactical. Look at Tier One Concealment. Look at
Um,
Hidden Hybrid. If you're
Safariland makes
Safari
quality
Land's
gear.
fantastic, but you're going to spend a lot of money.
Um, yeah, I mean, I like Safariland,
And Safariland
and
doesn't do a lot of custom stuff. So if you do
they
the mix
do
and
it,
match,
but it's 6 months out.
right? Yeah,
You can't
if
build
you
it
do
on
the
their
mix and
website.
match thing,
You have to
yeah,
contact them and tell them what you need, and they can do anything, but it's not build it online friendly.
right. But I'll tell you
You
right
have
now,
to.
Tier One Concealment can build just as quality stuff of Safariland, and they can turn it around in 10 days. So you can get really 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 good stuff from them, and it's
The
just and it's
majority of
just
what the majority of people carry tier one can handle just fine, but I don't
right.
think the quality is the same
Oh, I
um,
do,
in my
I do.
personal experience.
They've got great level 2 and level 3 retention now. They're doing if you want outside. I mean, if you're just looking for inside the waistband, I have been thoroughly thoroughly pleased with anything Tier One Concealment. We bought my wife
No
and I
argument
both
there.
have one. Really,
No
really, really,
argument.
really great stuff. If you want exterior,
If you're
you
building
know,
battle belt, duty gear,
then you
end of the
might
world
want to
stuff,
think, depending on what your budget is, you might, budget wise, you might don't buy garbage. Tier one is the
they're not
starting
garbage.
point of the conversation. They're not the best. I mean, but
Okay.
they are the starting point. If you can't drop $300 and $400 on your holster at Safariland, then Tier One's a good
Yeah.
option, so that you
And I've
don't end
only
up with a Serpa.
the cheapest setup I've ever purchased from Safariland was on clearance that happened to fit a pistol that I had, and I think it was $180.
Right, right, yeah. So
And
you're, I
that was
mean,
like
you're
60 or 70% off.
right, right. I
Right.
mean, if you're just running a straight out of the box Glock, you can absolutely get a good
From
Safariland
lots of
holster
places.
for $100, $150.
From
But if
Safariland?
you want to, put a specific light on it, if you need it optics cut ready, if you've got an
What you
extended
do,
mag release.
your go to war gun should have an optic on it and it should have a light on
Absolutely.
it. And then you
Absolutely.
need to be able to holster that.
Absolutely. Yes, 100%. So,
And
if you've got
and
it,
then once you put a suppressor on there, it gets even more difficult.
if you got small kids in your house that you're worried about whether or not you can access your handgun and where it's at,
Tension
you got
holsters work great
that
for that. Yeah.
that bump in the night, a level 3 retention holster would be great at, you could have that sitting on the nightstand and they'd have to work
Yeah.
pretty hard to get it out of that holster.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
You might work so hard that it won't help you in your bump in the night situation.
that's
You
true.
really have to practice.
It's you,
Level 2 is practice, but level 3 is a whole like
right.
another level of
Yeah, because
pain in the ass.
for those of you who don't know, level 3 incorporates a twist of the gun, and you really need the
Now it's a
resistance.
combination of actions to
Yeah,
get the stupid thing
yeah. So
out.
you flip the switch, drive the gun, twist the gun. I mean, like
Something.
it's a very serious combination,
It is.
and you really need the resistance that the belt gives you. So if
It's
you
designed to only really work well in a draw from one position only. So if somebody's drawing from
then
the
you're looking
front or
at
the back, it
grabbing
doesn't
that
work.
holster with one hand and basically
Right.
pretending like you're the bull, and
It's
you
so
gotta,
hard. Yeah. Yeah.
and then you're way more likely to cover
Shoot
yourself
yourself.
as you
Yeah.
come out of the holster. So,
Just
but
stick with level
I
2.
will
If
say
you're not
this,
law
that
enforcement, I
is,
say go level 2.
yeah, yes, if you're not
Required.
engaging with law enforcement, level 2 is, in fact, I know a lot of law enforcement agencies that only run level 2 now. They don't run level 3.
It's not safe in
It's
some settings.
I totally agree. I totally agree. But but have a holster. Have a good holster, okay? Because
Need a holster.
during SHTF, you're going to wear that thing all the time. You are going to wear
You gotta
that
live in
gun
it.
all the time.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Period.
if you buy something and it works well for you, buy another one right now.
Yeah.
In fact, I would, you know what, for guys like you and me, if you have a setup that you love and you don't have two or three of it, buy another one right now.
It's true. It's true.
In my
I
mind,
would.
that even goes to the gun because
Yep.
this is a bear independent thing. If
Hmm.
you have a good setup that works for you, buy three.
Hmm.
The best replacement is not to swap parts; it's to pick up another gun,
Yeah.
and it's a lot easier if that gun fits in the same holster or the same whatever, takes the same mags, takes the whatever. You don't need to have. I totally agree with him here. You don't need to
Hmm.
have five different everythings for every situation. You
Yep.
need one or two universal things. So you need a
Yep.
tactical shotgun. You need a compact to mid-size 9 millimeter or better sidearm,
Yep.
and then you need a rifle,
Yep.
and that's it. From
And
there,
then, right.
most people are
Shotgun.
not designated marksmen. They don't need sniper rifles. If you have a bolt action hunting gun, you have a sniper rifle.
That's right.
Um, as far as shotguns, I mean, I just picked up, I think I'm up to two or three semi autos now. Some of them because I'm going to do some testing and show stuff. And I buy them. But, uh, Mossy 500 pump is all you need.
That's right.
A Winchester 1800 pump is all you need.
All you need.
Remington, what's the Remington? Remington 1100 Express
870.
or whatever, right? 870.
870.
That's the one. Remington 870. Those are $200 to $300 guns.
I'd go Mossberg over all of them. Just,
Right now, I would choose a Mossberg. I agree, but I've
you can
seen the
get a
Benelli no
Mossberg.
goes. The
That
Benelli no goes are available right now, and those are $300-$400 guns.
Yep, that's true. But I will say this, for 3 4, I think it's like 450. Okay, you can pick
Okay,
up a Mossberg with a home defense barrel and a hunting barrel.
those
You
used to be the
effectively
199 Walmart specials back in the 2000s.
That's right. But
Yeah,
now, get yourself the, synthetic stock, so you can drag it through the water and it can get wet and you're not going to worry about any
yep.
wood swelling up on you.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
you know,
that's
you
good,
know
and it takes
that
paint better because everything should be painted, and
agreed.
every gun should have a flashlight.
Yes, absolutely.
Uh,
So please, please,
Almost
please
nobody needs a laser.
have your home defense stuff in
Yeah,
place. Listen,
Yep.
don't buy solar if you haven't bought your
You
home
don't have a
defense
gun.
stuff. Don't buy
Yeah,
silver or gold if you haven't bought your home defense stuff. Like
I
Phil just
agree.
said, 9mm or better, shotgun, and a
Go
carbine.
12 gauge. If somebody's trying to sell you a 410 right now, it's for a reason.
Yeah, because they can't find any ammo. Trust me, I own a couple 410s. My dad's got a 410. We
I'm
cannot
seeing
find
20
we
gauges get pushed heavy. Can't get the ammo.
can't get the ammo. Can't get the ammo.
Yeah.
But right
It's 12
now
gauge.
I'm seeing defensive 12 gauge on the shelf. I'm seeing hunting 12 gauge on the shelf.
Yeah.
Like it. There's plenty of 12 gauge out there.
I'm going to buy
It's
some more this week. Yeah.
and so you can get it. You can find it. It's good stuff. So get your home defense stuff done ASAP. Then you can
Davidson's and
branch out.
Lipsey's both have some semi-autos. Mossberg 930s are in stock right now, pretty much everywhere. So, so if you have an FFL or you know a guy with an FFL, I mean, 90% of them use Davidson's and Lipsey's, so they can get them for you right now.
If you can avoid buying multiple guns on one transaction, a lot of people would tell you you should do it because it's only one background check fee and all this stuff. One, you only have to pay for 144.73. I would spread out your purchases a week, like a week if you can.
Do you
If
pay
you're
for those in Missouri?
Yeah, I think it's like 10 or
Or are
$20,
you
something
just
like.
remembering Oregon?
Oh, Oregon, yeah, for sure, Oregon.
Oregon charges
Um,
you $10 per check,
yeah,
not per firearm.
and
There are
actually it
states
was
like North
10 bucks. It was
Carolina,
10 bucks for the state, and then the FFL got to charge 10 more dollars. So
but you're talking about a transfer fee, as in you bought it somewhere else and had it processed through an FFL,
no, I'm talking about it
not you
was
bought
twenty
something from him.
dollars if you bought something from them. It didn't matter. It didn't matter.
Yeah,
So
you if your
so it was a
FFL is
transfer
doing
fee.
that, fire them and go somewhere else. That's
Yeah,
not
no
normal.
kidding, right? No joke. But
That's not
what I'm
normal.
saying, but what I'm saying right now is there's a lot of people getting knocked on the door right now by the ATF because they bought multiple firearms on one transaction.
So,
So
but it's multiple handguns that triggers the FFL form, not multiple long guns.
I don't know. The last time I saw it triggered the form if it was more than one firearm in a purchase.
Those
So
rules do change by the week, so we could both be right.
yeah, we could both be right. That is true. Yeah, the ATF gets to play fast and loose with the rule changes.
They do it
So
constantly. I watch
all
it
right, this is
build.
this has been kind of a long episode, you guys. We got a lot of
That's it.
information. Hopefully you are. Yeah, we're coming up on probably an hour and a half or more.
Good.
So, but we want you to know that we love you, and we want you to know that we appreciate you guys listening. Patreon members, thank you so much. We're going to be starting up locals and doing all those things. In fact, Free State Homestead's local channel is up and running now. I don't have any tiers or any of
Yeah, I
that
don't have
stuff
any
going.
tiers on mine.
But
Content is getting populated into my locals channel as well, PRL
oh, good.
Outdoor Alaska.
Oh, good.
I just threw a teaser out there right before we stepped in the show.
Nice.
So I was prepared earlier to show off a box that I had with me, but then I took it out of here in our intermission. I didn't
I'm
bring it
very
back.
excited. I'm very excited about what we'll be able to produce in locals for our subscribers. And really for
Good.
most everybody. We'll be able to post everything. You can actually go
Yeah, we can
watch
put some
us
free stuff
on
there too.
locals. You just won't be able
Yep.
to comment or do anything if you're not a supporter.
Yeah, or
Um,
see some of the stuff.
yeah. So anyway, all right. We love you guys. Please, please, please get prepped.
Yeah, if it's not too late.